We're looking at algebraic fraction. And what is a fraction? A fraction is the expression, the top part, and then the bottom is the denominator. That is the numerator, and the bottom part is the denominator. Now, makes it a little fraction. We are concerned with letters. These letters are described as unknowns. Of A over B, where A and B are letters of the English alphabet used to express the algebra. Okay, now putting these two ideas together, what then is the scope or understanding of algebraic? The next thing we have is exercise 17A. Now, I'm going to take you exercise by exercise, and in each exercise or question, we'll focus on the objective. It's really very difficult to explain what we expect you to get from algebraic fractions. But what we will do as we move from question to question is to try to look at the objective. What is the objective of each question we're solving? Now, let's go to page 195 of your 194 of your textbook. If you look at the first question, it says MNU over NUV. In this question, you're required to cancel out what is not common, which is usually the normal thing when we handle fractions. We try to cancel out what is not, or rather what is common and what we will not need. If you look at the numerator, cancellation is done from numerator to denominator. If you look at the numerator, you can see U, N. So at the end of the day, what I'm left with is what? M over V. So in this algebraic fraction, we are trying to essentially reduce to lowest. Somebody will be asking me, uncle, is it that we can reduce to lowest term in algebra? Very correct. Just as, for instance, you have 4 over 6, you reduce to what? 2 over 3. You know, 4 over 6 is actually 2 times 2 over 2 times what? 3. Now, mirror that in your mind if this were to be A times A over what? A times B. What would the answer be? A over B. What is A? 2. What is B? 3. So you see that in starting this exercise, we are concerned with what? Reducing to the lowest term. So we can see at this point that algebraic fractions work on the concept of factors. Because what we have cancelled up and down are factors that are common to the numerator and the denominator. So we're not taking anything so different from what we've learned previously, but we're now using that idea to now handle just maybe letters alone. I don't know that I have confused you the more, you understand what I've done. Okay, so let's try more questions. We're going to be very interested in solving questions. So I really need you to get your writing materials and be fast with me. You're going to see different kinds of questions, and we have an obligation to try to solve them. Now let's look at number 2. Number 2 says 8x squared z over 10x yz. How do you go about solving this? Are we all together? How do you go about solving this? You check what is common to numerator and denominator. Now in this question, see what is tested. I can easily cancel z because z is common to both. I'll leave x first. I can cancel 8 and 10 because the common factor is 2. Now when it comes to x, if I cancel x here, I would have taken care of only one of it, which is what? Because x squared means what? X squared means what? X times x. So x squared over x would mean what? X. So it will just be as if I'm cancelling one of the index, and that will give me 4x over what? 5y. That's 4x over 4y. That's for question number 2. Let's look at question number 3. I told us it's going to be solving. So at any point you have an issue, this class you can interject me. At any point, this is another binomial. A binomial is an algebraic expression with two terms. One term, second term. Essentially, a binomial is connected by either a plus or a minus. Two terms connected by either a plus or a minus. So, in such a setting, look at this. I have seen students do this. That's why I'm drawing your attention to. They say, oh, this one, they now cancel like this. It's not possible. And I used to ask students a very simple question. Can you remove okra? You prepare soup, and then you say you want to remove the oil from the egusi after the soup has been prepared. It's not possible. No matter how you pull it, you will still have egusi and oil. Is that clear? So, with that understanding, nothing can be done to this one. So the final answer will still be what? U plus m over u plus n. Nothing can be done to that. Is that clear? Nothing can be done to this. So the answer remains like this. And you need to note this one because it's very, very important. The understanding of this will come very handy soon. Now let's go to number 4. In number 4, you have a, b plus ac over ad plus ae. Now, we will now try to look at what is common to both. If you look at this carefully, a is common to both. So I will factor a out and I'll be left with what? B plus c. Divided by, I will factor a out because a is common to the terms, each of the terms. And that will be a into what? D plus e. At this point, what do? I cancel out. So what's the learning point here? You can only cancel out factors when they occur in the numerator and the denominator. And then your final answer becomes what? B plus c over d plus e. And nothing can be done to this anymore. Is that clear? So nothing can be done to this anymore. All right, let's continue. Like I said, it's going to be solving galore. Going to be solving all the way. So you may need to write quickly. So let's look at question 5. In question 5, you have a squared plus ab over a squared plus ac. How do you handle this? The same approach. You factor a out, you'll be left with a plus b. Remember that this is a times a. So maybe if I want to create another iteration of it, I can say a times a plus ab over a times a plus what? ac. So I can pick out what is common to both. I pick a from this. I'll be left with a plus b. I pick out a. I'll be left with a plus what? C. And at this point, I can do my cancellations. This a will go with this a. All right, so let me give you some to do. I've done up to 5, so do 6 and 7. Let's do 6 and 7. It's important that we engage in this class, please. 6 and 7. Let's do 6 and 7, and then we'll solve them on the board and cover enough grounds today. Now, in question 6, we have a squared plus b squared over a plus b. Now, in this question, nothing can be done. Let's look at this. Will be aa plus bb over a plus b. Now, what they're trying to tell you now is that you can't factor anything here because a is not common to both. So as such, this will remain as it is. Nothing can be done here. Exactly. Nothing can be done in this problem. So it will remain just the way it is. Now let's see the other one. Question 7. In question 7, you have u squared plus uv over uv plus v squared. What does that give you? What does that give you? This will give me u into u plus, I'll have uu plus uv. This to help you build your understanding of what I intend to achieve over what? uv plus what? I can easily pick u out, u plus v and u plus v. So in this case, u plus v can cancel out compositely. U and u plus v can cancel out compositely. Because if you look at this, u plus v is a factor. Remember we said talked about binomial expression. Now, u plus v is like okra soup. We're treating this as okra soup. You can't take okra away from the oil, away from the water. So these two, this is a factor treated as one. So this will now be equal to what? U over v. That will be u over v. Is that clear? Is that clear? U over v. Right? Don't worry, if you don't, anyone you don't catch, maybe by the time you're watching the video, you'll be able to flow better. I'm just trying to ensure that we go step by step all the way through. All right. Now try question 8 for me. Try question 8 and 9 for me. 8, 9, and 10. 8, 9, and 10. Try question 8, 9, and 10 for me. Let's see how that pans out. So let's go to question 8. So you just check whether what you've done is correct. Question 8. Over hk. Over hk. And that will give me what? H into h minus k over hk. And that will give me h minus k over k. So h minus k over k becomes your final answer. All right, let's go to question 9. V cubed over 15 d cubed n squared v to the power of 4. Now, question 9 is testing your knowledge of indices. So I'll just start by cancelling this. I have 3 here, I have 1 here. So this will now be 1 over 3 times, I'll take d to the power of 2 minus 3 because it's division, n to the power of 1 minus 2 because it's division again. When you divide, essentially you are subtracting your indices. When you divide, essentially you are subtracting your indices, and that will be what? V raised to the power of 3 minus what? 4. So what does this give you? This will give me 1 over 3 d to the power of minus 1, n to the power of minus 1, and v to the power of minus 1. So what does this literally mean? It means that my answer will be what? 1 over 3 negative will be d n v. So that's what it will mean for question number 9. All right. So that's for question number 9. So let's see what question number 10 would offer us. So that's question 9. Let's go to question 10. Please, I remember that one of your students have taught this very, very well, and I was so impressed when I was taking him something else and he was just responding very well. It's a very, very important topic you cannot run away from. And there's one question that usually comes out in your exam. Number 10. I have C squared minus CD. I need to change my marker. This one's not writing well. Minus cd over d squared minus cd. What would that give me? I can factor c out. There are two c's here. So I guess by now you have seen it. C minus d. I'm taking one c here, taking one c from here, over taking one d here, and I'll be left with what? D minus c. This is where another idea is coming in. This is where another idea is what? Coming in. Now, please watch this. Plus d, I can write this as minus d plus c. I hope nobody has an issue with that. If I have c minus d, I can write that as what? Minus d plus c. All I've done is to rearrange. Remember that every letter carries a unique sign with it. So with that in place, I can also factor out negative from any one of them. If I factor negative from this, I'm going to have negative into what? D minus what? D minus c. Is that not? So if the positive of this gives me the negative of this, it means that d minus c will be equal to minus into c minus d. I need you to take a look at this very well, because this is a new. I am going to see it repeat itself in the course of our solution of problems. Now, c minus d is minus d plus c. Factor negative out of this, and I'll be left with what? D minus c. Now, if this is equal to this, I cannot write the positive as negative of this. So, it means that I can say that d minus c is equal to minus into c minus d. So, now, I will mirror it to this problem I have here now. Look at what I had initially. I had c into c minus d over d into what? D minus c. But what is d minus c? Look at it. D minus c is this. So instead of writing d minus c here now, I will now write c into c minus d over d times minus c minus into c minus d. Now, positive times negative will give me what? Negative. So I'm going to have c into c minus d over minus d into c minus d. It is at this point you cannot cancel out. Remember I saying that at this point you cannot do what? Cancel out. Now, remember also from your elementary multiplication and division that plus divided by plus is plus, minus divided by plus is minus, plus divided by minus is minus, and minus divided by minus is what? Plus. So while applying this idea, you discover that you have plus divided by minus. What will the answer be? Minus. So your final answer becomes minus c over d. If the idea wasn't very clear, don't panic. We will solve more questions, and because of solving more questions, you'll be able to see some of these things in algebra will come as a result of usage. As you keep using them, you get to know them, you get to understand them better. And that's the reason why I'm solving question by question. All right. So we go to question, we've done question 10 now. Let's go to question 11. Let's see what question 11 has to do for us. We might spend a lot of time on this in this topic, but be rest assured that at the end of this topic, you were part of it. Please do me the favor of always copying. Always copy. Please copy. Make sure you copy. So that when you're going through the videos, you will remember better. And then also in your free time, take the questions. Try to solve them again. Right. That's for question 10. Let's go to question 11. Question 11 says a squared minus b squared over b squared minus ab. All right. Now, At this point, another idea is being tested. Another idea is being what? Tested. Now, from your elementary maths, please take note of this. A minus B, or A squared minus B squared, is actually minus B. Now, we're going to show that this is equal to this from this side. Now, A plus B into A minus B is actually equal to A into A minus B minus and plus B into A minus B. What does that give you? This will give you A squared minus AB. Are we together? Plus, now, B times A is AB. Remember that we write our answer in the order of the letters of the English alphabet. So plus AB minus B squared. So what does that give you? These items are identical. If I have 1 naira and I'm giving you 1 naira away, the answer will be what? So what you have is what? A squared minus what? B squared. So I've been able to show you that this is equivalent to this. Please take note of this. Now, see what I've done in your book. You see all these ideas. Take note of them. In fact, what I advise you to do, you can be at the back of your notebook. You can write them there. You can write them and save them there. Have a separate note for when I give you key ideas. You note those key ideas there, because these are things that will help you when you are solving more problems. All right. So I'll just give you a minute or two to copy, and after that I'll wipe off so that I can use the full screen. Okay, so we stopped here and we have moved to this point. A squared minus B squared is A plus B into A minus B over B squared minus AB will give you B into A minus B. And I will recall an idea we had earlier that B minus A is essentially negative A minus B. So this will give you this. You make your regular substitution and you are left with A plus B over minus B. Remember that this is into A plus B over B. So that's what the answer will be for question 11. All right, so let's look at question. We have x plus xy, x squared plus xy over squared minus y squared, and this will be x plus y. I'm right with that. And this is x. Remember, this is minus y into x plus y. Remember, from this point, maybe I'll just take a marker to show you what has happened. So you don't forget, just to help you remember what has happened. Just did that for you to see what, to help you relate with what we've just done. And at this point, you discover that this can cancel this. And what? This will be x over x minus y as your final answer. Is that clear? Please, it's so important that you connect to these things. They are so very important. So very important ideas that you cannot play with. Now that's for question 12. That's for question 12. Let's see question 13. In question 13, we have 28 c squared d squared e squared over c e to the power of 4. So how do you handle the problem like this? The first thing you need to do is to check out for the whole numbers here. 7 over 5. So just take 4 over 5 out, and then look at c to the power of 2 minus 1. Look at this is to the power of 1. Anytime you see an ordinary letter, it is actually to the power of 1. Please take note of this very important information that will help you work. C is written as what? C raised to the power of what? 1. Now, there's no other term in D. Then we'll pick E. E to the power of 2 in the numerator side minus E to the power of 4 in the denominator side. And this is equal to 4 over 5c, 2 minus 1c times d, then e raised to the power of minus 2. So invariably, what does this give you? This will be 4 over 5 times cd over what? E raised to the power of 2. Remember, another important information for you here is that a to the power of minus 1 is the same thing as 1 over a. So take note of that. Please take note of all these nuggets I'm giving to you. You may want to write them somewhere, and this will help you understand this concept very well. Now, this will now give you 4cd over 5e squared. So the answer is what? 4cd over what? 5e squared. Right, that's question 13 for us. We'll proceed to question 14. Here, I will not drop any question. I will expect us to, even if I give you assignment, when I meet with you in the next class, we will have to solve everything through based on the answer you have. Because it's so important for how well you're going to do in mathematics. All right, let's look at question 14. In question number x squared minus 4x, I got that right, divided by x squared minus 4. Now, x squared minus 4 is same as x squared minus 2 squared. And as such, the earlier concept we learned will apply. This becomes what? X minus 2 or x plus 2 into x minus 2. So please take note of that. So by relevant substitution, this becomes x into x minus 4 over x plus 2 into x minus 2. You will discover at this point that nothing can be done. Nothing can be done. You can't do anything at this point. Hello? Nothing can be done at this point because this cannot cancel this. Neither can this cancel this. They are composite, so algebra rather, and they are binomials that do not relate. So that's for question 14. Please take note of that question because that's the idea they want to pass across to you. Now, question 15. Question 15 says c squared minus 2cg plus d squared divided by c squared minus cg. Let me give you a little time to catch your breath. After this question, I will go beyond this point because after here, I would we're now moving into quadratic expressions now. So your knowledge of quadratic expressions is what you need here now. So you discover that after this topic, if after this topic you still don't factorize, then you are doing me injustice. All right. So let's go to question 15. Question 15. I'll just stop in 15, and after that, I'll give you some practice question to work on. Look at 15. It says c squared minus 2cg plus d squared over c squared minus cd. Now, please watch this. From algebra, we know that a plus b all squared is equal to what? A squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Also, a minus b all squared is equal to a squared minus 2ab plus b. This is what is coming handy in the first example. Does this not resemble this? So hence, will be equal to c squared minus 2cd plus what? D squared. Are you seeing that? So if that is coming in handy, it means that from here, you're going to have c minus d into c minus d twice divided by C into C minus D. And your answer becomes C minus D over what? C. C minus D over C. Hello? All right, so at this point, I'm going to give you your assignment. I'm going to give you your assignment. I'll just drop the assignment on this side of the board, and I'll expect you copy them and do them. Please, I want to make a very solemn appeal. This is a very, very interesting aspect of math because it boosts your critical thinking. Anybody who will solve fast and effectively in mathematics must be somebody who is strong in this area. So it will boost your thinking. If you go through the pain of this full chapter, your maths will increase. It has nothing to do with whether you are an A student or no. If you will painstakingly look at this topic, every other aspect of your maths will begin to improve. Okay, students, we've come to the end of this very interesting class. We've just started scratching the topic, and we're trusting that we'll be able to finish the topic in no distant time and get the best out of it. But just to help you, we've dropped some questions for you to study. Exercise 17B of your new general mathematics book 2, and that is found in page 195. So let's just put the page 195. I'm trusting you're going to enjoy solving these questions. I trust you're going to enjoy solving these questions, and I hope mathematics will improve. Love to see you in my next class, and I'm trusting that you will come up stronger than ever before. Thank you, and bye for now.